Molisha Niwanse, welcome back or welcome to my channel if it's your first time here. My name is Tembi Fletcher and today I am going to be doing a style analysis breakdown for the enigmatic Zendaya. Now, Zendaya is definitely an enigma, hence why I wanted to bring her your way or showcase her style in this video so that way we can break down her body type, Kibbe body type, and her essence blend as well. This is going to be a very interesting one, so let's buckle up or buckle down. Buckle up. Let's enjoy the ride. But before I begin, I would like to go ahead and let you know that I do offer typing services in case you're interested. They start at $10. So basic services, if you want to get your body type and your essence blend, then you can hit me up on Instagram. I will leave the link in my description, or you can send me an email as well. Just make sure that you add a title about typing, so typing services to your title, so that way I can find your email easily. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. So when it comes to Zendaya, I have heard so many opinions about what her Kibbe body type might be, and I think that she is definitely one of those women who has a really beautiful blend, mix of essences, that it's difficult to be able to just put her in one particular category. So as usual, I am going to be breaking down my method of being able to type someone, and we're going to begin by taking a look at her facial features. Now, when it comes to Zendaya, she definitely has quite a mix of facial features. The first thing that I noticed is her square jawline. That is usually, I would say square jawlines are usually prevalent in both the dramatic family and the natural family as well. So you can definitely see people or women with square jawlines in both families. And with her, of course, hers is a little bit on the sharper side, and it could be because of the fact that she is pretty skinny. Like, she's a very slender woman, hence why I think her facial features are a lot more pronounced. But then also her essences do come into play. Other than that, she has a skinnier nose. It's a little bit more on the elongated side, but it also has some slight softness to it. She's got straight eyes, which are well known for dramatics. Dramatics usually have straight eyes, but so do naturals, which makes it quite interesting. And then her overall facial features, in my opinion, look quite compact. And I have had people type her as a flamboyant gamine, or basically just claim that she could be in the gamine family because of her facial features, because they're just so compact. You know, her lips are on the smaller side. All her features fit in a really compact face. And I definitely understand why people can solely assume that maybe she's just a really tall gamine. Now, Zendaya's height, she should be 5'10" or 5'11" if I'm not mistaken. And so she's definitely on the taller side. But for the sake of this video, to just give you clarity, I am going to go ahead and compare her to a flamboyant gamine. And I'm thinking about a flamboyant gamine that probably looks like they're on the taller side. Okay, so for my flamboyant gamine comparison, I'm going to be comparing Zendaya to Letitia Wright. I think that Letitia looks slightly elongated. Letitia being slightly elongated is a good example of a flamboyant gamine that looks a little bit taller. So I think she's a good candidate for this comparison. Now, if you look at Letitia's facial features alongside with Zendaya'S, I can see some similarities in their jawline. Zendaya'S jawline is a little bit more on the square side or sharper side than Letitia's is, but they're very, very similar. Their faces also look compact. Letitia's eyes are also straight like Zendaya'S, and their noses are pretty similar. Letitia's is a little bit broader. But for the most part, I think facial feature wise, it's easy to be able to mistake Zendaya for flamboyant gamine simply based on their facial features. But when you take a look at their bodies, I am definitely seeing a significant difference. Zendaya looks a lot more elongated, while Letitia just looks slightly elongated. Letitia is also very skinny. You can see quite a bit of muscle on her flesh as well, even though it's quite sinewy. And also Letitia is coming off a little bit more on the narrow side than Zendaya is. Zendaya is quite narrow as well, so let's keep that in mind. But for the most part, I think Letitia just looks like she is smaller than Zendaya is. She doesn't look as elongated, hence why I don't think that it would be a good idea to place Zendaya in this category or in this body type. So we're going to cancel out the flamboyant gamine. And now we have three, let me turn this down so that way it's not disturbing us. But now we have three more body types that we can place her in for sure, and those are the flamboyant natural, the soft dramatic, and the dramatic body type. Now, can Zendaya be a soft dramatic? It is possible. The only thing is I've never seen her on the thicker side, so I don't really know what she looks like when she gains weight, but we can definitely see the foundation or frame of her bone structure, hence why I think that it will be quite easy for me to be able to discount her from this body type. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to compare her to Justine Skye, because Justine is one of those soft dramatics who is quite slender as well. Let's take a look at their facial features. Now, right off the bat, Justine's facial features look quite sensual, and more so, they look a lot fuller than Zendaya's facial features. Justine's eyes are a lot larger, they're a little bit more of an almond shape, and their noses are pretty similar. Justine's lips, on the other hand, are quite full. You can definitely see that they both have those high cheekbones, but I'm seeing a little bit more lushness on Justine. When it comes to sharpness, I think that they're pretty similar in terms of their bone structure, facial bones being on the sharper side. Hence why I think that Zendaya definitely has quite a bit of dramatic essence, or if not a lot. She definitely has a lot of dramatic essence, and I think she has quite a bit of gamine essence as well, hence why her face is quite compact. Now, if you look at their bodies, you can definitely see the difference. Even though Justine is on the slender side, you can still see that softness, especially on the fleshiest parts of her body. So her arms look quite soft, her bust line is quite full, it's not extremely full, but you can see that she has a softer or fuller bust than Zendaya does. I'm also seeing some fullness on Justine's hips. I am seeing some fullness on her thighs as well. So overall, she's definitely giving off more of a softer woman than Zendaya is. Zendaya's flesh to me looks quite sinewy, but I'm also seeing some strength when it comes to her flesh as well. I'm seeing a little bit of muscle. I'm seeing quite a bit of strength in her shoulder line as well. And also bear in mind that soft dramatics can come off quite strong as well, especially when they work out or they do strength training. So it is possible for soft dramatics to come off a little bit stronger. They don't necessarily look like the flamboyant natural who lifts weights, so does a lot of strength training, but you can see strength in the fact that they're larger women for one, so very statuesque. They're usually elongated, and then they have a lot of flesh, like really soft flesh on their bones. So I think that's where the strength comes from, like it's this really large woman type of vibe. Yeah, so with that being said, I am going to cancel out the soft dramatic. I don't think that Zendaya is a soft dramatic. And now which leaves us with the dramatic and the flamboyant natural. Now here's the thing. I will say that Zendaya looks amazing in dramatic clothing. I think she pulls it off so beautifully, so well, to the point that it's very difficult to be able to differentiate between the dramatic and flamboyant natural when it comes to her. Like I said, her essence blend to me just works so well with her body type or her bone structure. It's crazy to me. So she's like the perfect blend of everything, if there's such a thing. And so to be able to make things a little bit simpler, I think I will go ahead and compare her to a Doot Aketch. A Doot happens to be a dramatic in my opinion. I think that she's one of those dramatics who have a shoulder line that looks slightly broader, but overall when you look at her silhouette, she's definitely she has more of a narrow and elongated silhouette. And another thing that I will say, well, I guess let me not get way ahead of myself, but let's take a look at a Doot's, let's take a look at a Doot's facial features. Now, a Doot to me has a lot of ingenue essence. If anything, I think that that is her dominant essence. Hence, she appears really soft, especially in the face. Her cheeks are super soft, even though they're on the higher side. She also has fuller lips because of that. She has a button nose, and then she has those beautiful almond shape. They're kind of like almond shape, but they're a little bit on the straighter side as well. She's just gorgeous to me, so doll-like. And I think she's really soft overall. Her facial features also appear slightly compact like Zendaya'S do, but for the most part I will say that a Doot's face is a lot softer than Zendaya'S in my opinion, and that's because of her high ingenue essence. But when it comes to their bodies, if you look at their shoulder line, that is something that I will say I have been using to differentiate the natural family with the dramatic family. Now, this isn't always the case because no archetype is a monolith, but for the most part I have noticed that dramatics, when it comes to their sharpness, it's almost comes off like a square in a sense. So it's like our shoulders, you know, because some of us, I will say for me as a soft dramatic, I do have sloped shoulders, but for the most part it's more of like a square in a sense. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. Like, you can definitely see the sharper edges when it comes to our shoulder line. For the flamboyant natural, to me, you definitely see more strength, so it's kind of like muscle, especially here in the shoulder, especially like right close to the neck. You definitely see more of musculature in a sense, so like the shoulders as well, even though they appear blunt, you're going to see it's almost like they protrude in a sense, so there's like some musculature that's built on the shoulder. I'm just over here making up terms like like it's nothing. But I will say this, looking at a lot of dramatics, some dramatics are a lot narrower than others, and actually some soft dramatics look a lot more narrower than others. Some soft dramatics, like myself, I will say my shoulders are slightly on the broader side, but my proportions are very even. So my shoulders are the same width as my hips. Proportion wise, I still have an hourglass body shape, even though my shoulders do look slightly broader. They're not as narrow as other soft dramatics. Like, let's say for instance, Rihanna is a little bit more on the narrower side when it comes to her shoulder line, but you can definitely see that frame as well, like the square frame in her shoulder line. I think that that is pretty evident. And so the bottom line is that I am seeing a lot more sharpness and angularity in a Doot's frame than I am seeing in Zendaya. Zendaya to me just seems to have a little bit more of that bluntness in her shoulder line. Now, even though their flesh looks quite sinewy, when I look at Zendaya, I do she gives off a woman who is a little bit on the stronger side in a sense. So she's not just sinewy and really slender like dramatics usually come off. she gives off more of that Amazon type of feel. And that is why I will say that Zendaya is not a dramatic, in my opinion, even though I have been going back and forth. I think that Zendaya is actually a flamboyant natural. So I'm going to go ahead and compare Zendaya to a flamboyant natural. And we're going to be using Laura Harrier. I think, is it Laura Harrier? Yeah, she's gorgeous to me. Laura is a flamboyant natural who looks pretty similar to Zendaya for the most part. I think she's the closest when it comes to how their frame looks and their bodies as well. When you look at Laura's frame, Laura's face is a little bit more on the elongated side, but I can definitely see some softer features in Laura as well. Her lips are on the softer side, her eyes are a little bit larger, noses are quite similar, but Laura has more of an oblong face. And I think that Laura definitely has quite a bit of ingenue essence and ethereal essence as well. She looks amazing in ethereal and ingenue lines, in my opinion. But when you look at their shoulder line, they're definitely very similar. Laura isn't somebody who I would say does a lot of strength training. Maybe she does, but I don't think she's a flamboyant natural who builds muscle for the most part. Hence why I feel like when it comes to their flesh, they're very, very similar, and their shoulder lines as well are giving off more of kind of like that dip, especially in their clavicles. There's almost like that dip, and then their shoulders round out, so the bluntness comes off on the ends or on the edges of their shoulder lines. So I hope that makes sense. And then when it comes to their bodies as well, with Laura, I'm definitely seeing that inverted triangle body shape, and I think that Zendaya is an inverted triangle as well, but because of her high dramatic essence, she just tends to come off a little bit more on the narrower side. And then she also wears clothing that will almost round out her hips for the most part. Like her stylist definitely knows how to balance her proportions well when it comes to the way that she dresses. So she often looks like she maybe has larger hips than she actually does. But for the most part, I definitely do think that Zendaya is a textbook flamboyant natural. And now I'm going to go ahead and give you a brief overview of the flamboyant natural, and I'm going to be reading from ourfashiongarden.com. I need to make sure that I leave this link down below for you just in case you're interested. So, flamboyant naturals are mainly naturals, soft yang with extreme yang undercurrent. So that's another thing that you need to keep in mind, is that flamboyant naturals are very similar to dramatics in that sense. Because of that extreme yang, they can give off sharper features as well. So like for Zendaya, I will say the elongation definitely shows more than the strength of the natural. I will say it's very evident, even more so than the strength of the flamboyant natural or the natural. They usually have a long vertical line, meaning they look tall and can be tall. They have broad shoulders, and their body shape looks like an inverted triangle. Their shoulders are broader than the rest of the Kibbe IDs. So I will give this, I'm not going to agree with this because it all depends on each person. Because to me, if I were to look at Tracy Ellis Ross, or what's her name, Solange Knowles, Solange to me doesn't come off as somebody who has extremely broad shoulders. In my opinion, she comes off pretty rectangular in a sense. So it really all depends. Okay, they're considered to have one of the most masculine body types, if not the most masculine, as it achieves the ideal silhouette of a man. Now, this is definitely debatable, but I think what they're saying about this is they're very athletic. They come off very athletic for the most part. The natural family is very strong looking because of their muscular bodies. That's true. The flamboyant natural is the closest to the yang scale. You can see how they are broad and tend to have an athletic body. And then when gaining weight, a flamboyant natural tends to accumulate weight below their waist, on their stomach area. Their shoulders will look broader as well. They won't gain a lot of weight on their chest or on their limbs. Their arms and legs will usually stay lean. But that also depends on your essences as well. And this is something that we're definitely learning during this series, is that you're going to look different depending on your essences, no matter what family you're in. Some of the characteristics are that you might look tall and broad. You're going to have wide shoulders with blunt edges, long arms and legs with large white feet. You can have a flattish bust line with a straight waistline and hips. Body flesh looks muscular but lean. So the leanness, I guess I will say, is also common in flamboyant naturals, just like it is with the dramatics. You're going to have wide angular faces with blunt edges depending on your essences. Wide spaced eyes, broad lips and nose, fleshy muscular cheekbones. Height is usually moderate to very tall, but it could also be any height and shorter. That is debatable. We'll look at some influencers or celebrities in the near future. Large hands and feet, usually somewhat wide, but they may also be narrow with long fingers and toes. You're going to have broad and square bones. And now I'm going to end this video by showing you some of Zendaya'S movements as to why, I guess, what really solidified my opinion of her, or my decision to put her in the flamboyant natural family. If you take a look at Zendaya, she definitely does have this poise to her. I love the way that she carries herself when it comes to her being in front of the press or when she's on the red carpet. I think even when she's doing interviews, she's very poised and just very put together. And that is definitely part of the dramatic essence that I think she possesses. She does have that striking quality to her and almost like show-stopping quality to her that dramatics usually possess. But at the same time, when you look at her movements, you can definitely see that approachable quality about her. When I look at Zendaya, I don't get that intimidating, regal quality about her. Even though she can pull off, I will say, regal outfits, or she can play regal characters, for the most part, I definitely consider her to be a lot more approachable. And I think that that's why, was she Mary Jane? And Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, I think that that fit her so well, because she really just was able to embody the character of the girl next door in that movie. And that is part of the reason why I definitely do think that she suits a flamboyant natural more than she does a dramatic. But with that being said, I will also say that she looks pretty good in flowy lines as well, relaxed lines. I think she's able to pull those off quite well as well. And then for the most part, I can definitely just see that laid back quality to her. She's very friendly, she's very approachable. She's definitely the girl that you want to chill with. And that's not to say that dramatics can't chill, but I think that naturally Zendaya gives off that vibe, in my opinion, and I think that that is evident of the flamboyant natural archetype. So I hope this video made sense to you. I mean, we can start a discussion in the description down below. Let me know what you think. Is Zendaya a flamboyant natural or not? So with that being said, we've come to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all beautiful ladies in the next one. Bye everyone.